Good morning, good morning. Tuesday morning. Last day of June. Ooh, it's my sister's birthday today. I'll send her a message later. She's just moved flat at the moment, so she must be very excited about this year. So many things happening in the year of the fire horse. How's it going for you guys? I laugh with one of my close friends. She'd given the analogy of the horse is going to do what the horse wants to do this year, and it is our job to follow along. We can set plans and we can put things in motion, but on the day, if the horse decides to go another way, we follow. Oh, and I think it's that ebbs and flow, hey? But this year's definitely been a lot of energies. A lot of energies. Lots to juggle. I got a Lady Grey this morning. It's delicious. About to head off for a client, so we're going to make this a quick one. I actually pulled a card to have a look at what might be useful for an insight today, and I actually like this one. It's been on my mind a lot, so again, stupid cards. I'm actually going to read the card first, and then we can get into a little discussion about it, but the card is Projections. It's beautiful. You can see the little mask in front. Projections. Alright, so it says, the man and the woman in this card are facing each other, yet they are not able to see each other clearly. Each is projecting an image they have constructed in their minds, covering the real face of the person they are looking at. All of us get caught up in projecting movies of our own making into the situations, onto the situations and people surrounding us. It happens when we are not fully aware of our own expectations, desires, and judgments. Instead of taking responsibility for them and owning them, we try to attribute them to others. A projection can be devilish or divine, disturbing or comforting, but it is a projection nonetheless, a cloud that prevents us from seeing reality as it is. The only way out is to recognize the game. When you find a judgment arising about another, turn it around. Does what you see in others really belong to you? Is your vision clear or clouded by what you see? In a cinema, you look at the screen. You never look at the back. The projector is at the back. The film is not really there on the screen. It is just a projection of shadow and light. The film exists just at the back, but you never look at that, and the projector is there. Your mind is at the back of the whole thing, and the mind is the projector, but you always look at the other because the other is the screen. When you are in love, the person seems beautiful, no comparison. When you hate, the same person seems the ugliest, and you never become aware of how a person can be the ugliest, and the same person can be the most beautiful. So the only way to reach truth is to learn how to be immediate in your vision, not So the only way to reach truth is to learn how to be immediate in your vision, how to drop the help of the mind. I need to use my finger, man. This agency of the mind is the problem, because mind can create only dreams, and through your excitement, the dream starts looking like reality. If you are too excited, you are intoxicated. You are not in your senses. Then whatsoever you see is just your projection, and there are as many worlds as there are minds, because every mind lives in his own world. Well, that was a mouthful, but we got through it. I still remember the first time I heard jealousy is your key. And that was a big flip in my brain, because it was the reasoning that you're not jealous of things you don't secretly want. Which makes sense. Which makes a lot of sense. But I think this projection conversation can even come into what we've been talking about a little bit, about presenting yourself in a certain way, almost as a disconnect to where you are, and then wondering why the connection isn't coming through on the front end. And again, usually it's because energetically you've been positioning yourself from a place where you wish you were instead of where you are. And that gap is where a lot of fear, guilt, and shame can live and can ruminate in terms of what might be holding you back from standing 110% behind your idea because you're not fully sure if you're capable of doing it or not. I think this is where that push-pull of being brave, stepping out of your comfort zone, but also not over-promising on things that you're not sure yet that you can deliver on, especially at the beginning of the journey, especially when you're starting to go online and when you're starting to build these things out. It can be very easy, and I've been guilty of it before, to want to create an offer from a step that you hope you're going to be at in a certain time without realizing that it's not actually where you are, which means that built-in disconnect has you doubting. It's like if you ever tried to do affirmations and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, I am this, and you get that inner voice that goes, no, you're not. It's like, it's that. And it's that core belief about ourselves that we have to change. It's almost that's how we have to bring whatever we've been projecting. I guess true authenticity is then being able to drop all of this facade and be able to sit in yourself and present yourself as is without there needing to be this, I have to pretend to be this type of person in order to get this type of client, or I have to be professional, otherwise nobody's going to want to work with me. Because I think the bigger the disconnect, the more shock there is as well when people come through and clients come through if that's not who you are. And if you're sitting there always having to play a part and play a role, it's exhausting. Like, she puts both hands up with no tea. She needs to drink tea because it's tea with Maya. And we have tea and we have to go into work and we have to go to the gym. So we need to drink the tea and not just do the talking. I'm going to have a sip of tea. But the jealousy thing was very intriguing to me, and it was a massive mind reset as well. Because it also then, when I got to the point in between coming off the gym floor and moving into my agency days, and I was really struggling with what else, or I was building the agency, that was taking all my time. I wanted to focus back on some sort of fitness or movement or something to get my creativity or my mind moving, and that was when I'd set the rule for myself. It doesn't have to be something that earns money. Go do a hobby first, and the only rule is more of this, less of that, and to really be checking in with myself. Do I want to do this activity? But also at the same time going and testing different activities to see if there's, hobbies or activities that I would enjoy that maybe I hadn't realized I wanted to do or go back to. That was, honestly, I think that was actually one of my biggest struggles, was allowing myself to have a hobby. That's when I'd realized that, I hadn't allowed myself to rest, and that there was so much guilt still attached with resting. That was a big chapter at one point, having to go so far back the other way and do nothing. But then it got to the point where I was like, okay, now I need to fill my time again and do it with productive things and put myself in situations where I can actually test to see how my training has gone this far and put myself back in battlefields where I can stress test what I've learned. But the jealousy thing and the do more of this and less of that, the other one that I've really enjoyed asking myself, excuse me, I won't actually fully blow my nose into the microphone. Do it this side. No, it's not going. That's all right. But the jealousy also then led to what would I want to say I've done? What would be really cool to say I've done or to say I could do? And this was at the time, I remember coming back out of China. So after my spine injury, my sister and I spent I was there for 5 months. She was there for longer in a Shaolin Kung Fu place in China. I did Tai Chi for 2 months and Shaolin Kung Fu, Tai Chi for 3 months, Kung Fu for two after I could walk again because I went and I still couldn't fully stand upright and walk around. So the doctor in the local village helped me with that over the Christmas holidays. He actually arrived just before my 25th birthday. Hilarious. Crazy memories. That was an amazing experience. That was something. I got my Jayo tattoo after that to remind myself of my training and what you can put yourself through as well when you put yourself in these positions and you surround yourself in environments that allow you to step into those roles and step into that world. I mean, we were training 6-7 hours a day. I had to do the half training days because of my back, so I was studying Mandarin in the afternoon. But again, up every morning, 6 a.m. We were downstairs. If you were late, 100 push-ups. We had an hour training, we had breakfast, and then we had 2 hours of training, and then we had a quick break, and then we had another hour of training in the afternoon, or that was when the others were training. Half of us did Mandarin classes, and then there was free training for an hour in the evening, but that was the day. You had the bells, you had the breaks, it was training or resting, and that was it. 5 months of that. It was absolutely insane. I must say I really enjoyed it. I managed to go back a second time, which was really cool. But that was when I actually fell in love with weapons training and more of the martial arts style stuff, and I just thought it'd be really cool to become a stunt woman. And so I remember getting back to Hong Kong, and obviously with my spine injury, that was the focus in terms of recovery, and there was obviously only certain things I could do physically, but I remember downloading the British Stunt Registry and going through all the damn qualifications that it takes, which is ridiculous, by the way. It's absolute lunacy. It's insane. I mean, it takes like 6 to 8 years to complete, even just by the nature of the skills that you have to develop, by the certificates that you have to, collect, by the passing exam boards that you have to go through. And it was, what I loved was when I went through all the different things, I was like, well, these are pretty much all the hobbies that I wish I could do. So even if I don't end up being a stunt woman, it would be pretty cool to have this as a list of things to start collecting over the years. Anyway, for me, cut to, obviously, spine fusion surgery. I am not a professional Hollywood stunt woman. I do, however, work with professional Hollywood stunt women, which I think that was a nice seed that was planted. And those ladies are badass. And what I love to see is they're in their 40s and they are kicking ass. Holy crap. One of my biggest goals is to make sure that when I go and see Andrea, I can actually play with her and keep up with her. So, again, I got to get to my own training. It's nuts. These ladies are insane. But, again, the list of things, it was like scuba diving, which I'd already done my PADI open water and loved that and thought, oh, how cool would it be to get your dive masters and to go work as a dive instructor on one of the islands, in Asia and have that life. There was rock climbing. My husband and I have done our level 1 rock climbing now. There was like horse riding, there was precision driving, there was getting all your motorcycle license, driver's license, there was trampolining, there was gymnastics, there was parkour, there were tricks. And so I just sort of started collecting these things. And I remember after going through the list, I was like, all right, one of the first activities I wanted to do was go back into Taekwondo. And especially at that point, I was feeling stronger in my body. And I remember still feeling a very physical delay on my legs. This was still before surgery, so this was just one of the phases where I'd come out of it a little bit, and the training I'd been doing had helped solidify the foundations, and the disc was at a point where it wasn't slipping again, so I was moving, I was training a lot more. And yeah, decided to join Taekwondo, and that was amazing. I remember doing that as a kid. I actually want to get back into that. I'm hoping I can get back into that at some point this year while we're still in the city, but I think it's that, it's like what, and I've been coming back to that now as well, especially with the seriousness of the online world and the seriousness that I feel like sometimes we can become as creators when we live in such a... No, she got cut off. Storage full. I'm doing like this with my storage at the moment, but just to continue that thread because I got to go. The seriousness that we can put on ourselves sometimes with this business stuff, we suck the fun out of it. And I really feel we are moving into the time of like the ludicrous, the silly, and the insane. And so much more of it is now available to create and bring into fruition with the technology and tools that we have available. And so I like to say to my clients sometimes, especially if we've been getting stuck in, not stuck, but just focusing on something for a while and we feel like we've sort of exhausted all angles and it's not quite sitting there. It's like, all right, well, what's something really fun and really silly or really low-hanging fruit that we can think of that we can earn a little bit of income with, and test that. And I honestly feel like that's one of the biggest things to play with this year is take all the seriousness off it. Don't worry about, especially if you're starting, especially if you haven't really done anything, but even if you are, like even if you are regularly posting and you're building yourself as a personal brand, if you have hit a rut or again this like seriousness has happened, or if you plateau, it's the same as in fitness. It's like change it up, go on a side quest, do something different. Create something. Like, what's the biggest block that maybe you feel that you're hitting at the moment, and how do you create something so ludicrous that it kind of just shifts in your brain where it's like, I'm capable of bringing in anything. I have ideas. I have all of this sort of stuff. I think that's where a lot of my artwork's been coming back to me recently, and I'm enjoying actually getting some of these paintings done and to see where some of these side quests might build separately to just the personal brand and the services that I provide with that. Update, very excited. The Sidekick Challenge, my ladies are in there kicking ass, and one of the ladies the other day, yesterday actually, said that she was always quite impressed with how Lumi, he's your offer sidekick by the way, keeps her grounded. But they ended up coming up with a course idea or something the other day, and she's now suddenly really excited that she's got a course that she wants to develop. And I'm like, when you have these tools that you're able to turn into creative sparring partners, and again, the biggest thing that I love with these guys is that it's the trust and it's the filters on the back end, so that you're not just dealing with this language learning models that are taking you askew, or they have these weird hidden agendas at the back. Like, I've really made it my mission to collect from the people that I have seen who are heart-centered and who keep the creator at the center of the business and the health of the creator at the center of the business, not over the money. It's about pulling everything from you. They ask you questions. Like one of my other friends who's in there, who joined for the month as well, she was like, oh, I really like how, how many questions that they ask you before they actually help you send your offer. And she was getting a little bit caught up in the skills that the bots were asking her that she's put into practice that they can then use to develop an offer. And she wasn't sure. She was starting to move into that place of, there are skills that I want to develop, but I can't create an offer from where I want to be. Again, what we discussed at the beginning. But I then reminded her that in terms of adding prompts, especially if you're, I think I said this yesterday, 30 plus, 35 plus, you've been through enough of life to have gone through transformations to help somebody with, but also I tend to find that the more life that you've gone through, the more it actually correlates onto business, or at least onto a lot of frameworks. So depending on the transformation that you've done, there's a segment of people that you can help go from here to here. And there are always people 2 steps behind you. So again, even if maybe you're ruminating on something over here that you want to be building as a business side, if you're feeling a little bit stuck, go do a little side quest project on something that you have had experience with. Because that's the biggest thing, I think, with all of this. If you have had direct experience, you are allowed to talk about it, because nobody can actually doubt your experience. The problem comes is if you are preaching having not had the experience, or sitting on the peak of Mount Stupid, if we want to go back to the Dunning-Kruger effect, and you've only recently had this information and it's been like a, oh, light bulb moment for you, but you haven't allowed it to actually ingrain into living and breathing it. I think that's it's always a fine line, right? Because there are certain lessons that you go, and then you carry on and do things that don't really correlate with what you've just learned. And then there are certain lessons that come back around and you go, and then you're like, okay, I've learned my lesson now. We can move on from this one. But yeah, I mean, summer months as well. So many people complain that these are slow months. Another story that you've built in, because if you know your seasons that are coming up, you should be able to defend against slow months. I remember first hearing that from, again, it was Becca Pike. Of that woman. I'm going to be back in her circle very, very soon, because when you find a mentor, I feel like I'm only finding more and more things that I love about her as she's now going through her development as well, and getting more and more, I guess, herself online. But already I was drawn to her, and then being in her community for a year, and then, oh, blew my mind. Anyway, what did she say? What was I talking about? Just sitting there loving on other people. Forgot my thread. Who's Becca? We were going around ruminating on things. Nope, I feel like I've lost it. Clearly, that is my sign that the little break interrupted. That's going to annoy me. I'm going to think about it on the bus, and I'm going to be like, that's it! Silliness, creativity, getting things up and out. Well, she was a big advocate for saying the only difference between me and other people is the fact that I can have an idea in the shower in the morning, and before it hits the afternoon, the landing page is created, the offer is on my story, and I'm already telling people about it, and probably already sold out 3 spots. And I think that speed in terms of execution, again, it's tough when you're in it and you're doing it yourself, because you've still been working with those doubts, you're working with these projections, you're working with so much that you still can't see. But when you get sidekicks that can help you out, that you can, go backwards and forwards with, I don't know. I just think there's ways to build, and there's ways to build, and there's now the tech has caught up that there are ways to build, that we don't have to go into any of that necessary of you have to hustle in order to make it work and be successful. Like, snail mail's back. I mean, have you seen that? People, absolutely incredible creatives are creating their own little mailing groups where they give you a little piece of art, a little handwritten poem. They create like a little fantasy world, and they direct mail, snail mail, posted mail, printed stuff, and then people are subscribing to their list, and they get the month that is coming up. Get creative. Go build something, go test something, go to market with something, and you don't even have to tell people on social media. That was one of the best things I ever did. I hid. There was so much fear of standing in front of people that I was like, okay, well, if that's going to be the problem, go hide. I started new social media platforms. I started on Twitter to get my writing clear. And it took me ages to then bring that back over to Instagram, which was my main posting platform. And now it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I can speak like this. But, each platform has their style. Find your style, experiment with your style. The writing helps the thinking helps the speaking helps the selling helps the bringing in the abundance of building what you want to do. Like, it all kind of plays into everything. And I think, again, when you're trying to pick and choose, it's like, can I do this but not this? Oh, I want to have, that was what Becca was saying as well. It's like, so many people go, oh, I want to have $1 million business, and then I'll do anything. I've tried everything. And then she tells them to post every day on social media, and they're like, oh, I can't do that. It's like, well, then you can't have the business. And it's not saying that you have to kill yourself in terms of doing the business, but you have to find the ways that make it work. And at the end of the day, it's still numbers. It's the same as with fitness. If you want weight loss, calories in, calories out. If you're still eating more than you're, exerting, you're not going to be going into that deficit. You're not going to be losing weight. You're not going to be seeing the results that you're expecting in your mind to see. And you're going to drive yourself crazy going, oh, I don't know what it is. I'm eating fine. And then I'm drinking all my extra calories and don't realize. I did that. Lots of calories in lattes, because it's all milk, duh. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys at that one today. I'll slice those two together. I have to do a bigger storage clean, so I'm not at the end. I know I've said that a couple of times. See, we all have our blind spots. We all have our blind spots. We all have our things we're good at, and things we don't like doing, and things we don't want to pay attention to, and things we're okay going, no, I'm making good progress in this, but I'm going to completely ignore that I am doing the same thing with something over here that I probably shouldn't also be doing. We live in a funny world. But yeah, look, guys, if you're not sure where to go, if you're not sure what you're doing, if you're not sure what's going on, check my links. We've got my studios, that's my sidekicks, that's my bots. I'll let you guys know. I've still got, I think there's 6 or 7 founding member slots, so once those are filled, the price will start to tick up. As we're still in beta phasing and testing, I need more people using them, so get in while you can. Strategy sessions, if you have the time, I genuinely feel like the human design and astrology charts that I do with my sister, and then tack on the strategy after that, has literally been the thing that changes the game, especially with personal brands. We have codes, we have charts, like use all the tools available to figure out who this is, because even when you figure out your charts, it's still going to be trial and error, test and experiment. That doesn't negate the work that has to be done, but it puts us right on the right track so that the work that we're doing already feels like home. Then the only thing that you've got to do is do the scary part of just doing the reps and showing up and trusting the process, which is already hard enough as it is. But at least when you've been seeing that, you get that validation and that permission to go, this is me. I knew it. I knew it. I think that was the bit that I loved about reading my own chart. I was so close. And the same thing happened when I eventually pulled one of my clients' charts after we'd been working together for almost 18 months and playing the should and shouldn't game and changing the niche and should we talk to this person? Oh, now this person's come out of the work. Let's message that person. And it's like, nope, pull your charts. Who do you want to be? How do we make sure that you're standing 125% behind the offer that you are building? Otherwise, it is not going anywhere. It is DOA. Dead on arrival. I remember how long it took for me to learn that, especially considering it was in the Friends theme tune. But yeah, cheers guys. Happy Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow.